All right, everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Actionable Alignment Podcast. Now, your girl has so much water. Why do I have this much water? Where did this much water come from? I don't know. I'm jumping on here. Have been wanting to talk about this for ages. So I am really hoping that I can do this topic justice. It definitely doesn't mean that it needs to be the last time that we discuss this sort of a thing, but I am F you. I'm fed up. I'm absolutely fed up with the way that I see women settling for less than they deserve when it comes to dating and relationships. So, does anyone want a little update on my Tessa Morellan story? So, I've told you guys how it's been about 4 weeks since I've been taking this peptide. My sleep has been so much better. It's wild. My weight has been trending around the same, and this has been the first week where it's like I don't know, when I first start a diet, I'm not hungry, I'm absolutely fine. It's usually about 3 or 4 weeks in for me personally, where, oh my God, I just find myself like tummy grumbling, and I'm like, ooh, I'm actually hungry. Or instead of being able to push out my meals in the morning, I go to push them out, and I'm like, oh, I'm frustrated. I've got the zoomies. Like I just need to go out and transmute my energy, transmute this anxiety into some movement because I'm stressing myself out. And so I'm finally at that point, guys. We're about 3.5 weeks into the diet and I'm feeling the hunger. This is where I encourage my girls. We have a little list of foods, things like our cucumber, our tomato, our capsicum, where like if you're adding 100 to 200 grams of this into each meal, okay, but don't. But if you had the allowance for an additional almost half a kilogram of veggies, just so you had something quick to sort of bite on in between your meals or before a meal or adding it to a meal, it can be really helpful with adherence. So I've been making some very yummy cucumber salads this week. I've been munching on some celery and I absolutely love raw red capsicum with salt on it. It's just delicious. But so guys, I'm hungry. My weight is still trending around the same, which I would be stressed about, but I can see so many changes in my body and I can see my muscles. They just look so full. So I'm not really stressing at all. Now, today's topic is something highly requested by my female clients, which is absolutely amazing, but also something that I guess it helps to share a little bit of your own experience first, or in this case, share my story with you. So I'm not going to go on a ramble like I know absolutely everything when it comes to dating. I've certainly had my fair share of losing myself to other people and not setting the right boundaries, all that sort of a thing. So I really hope that today I can show you that there is light at the end of the tunnel and that light will require work from you and yourself. But it can also require facing the uncomfortable truth that, hey, this isn't working out, okay? And not so much trust your gut, but understand that let someone be who they are. Do not try and coach your man. Like, be done with fucking trying to coach your man how to act, how he should treat you, all that sort of a thing. Men can be taught, okay, or your partner can be taught, but if they choose not to listen, you need to make the decision whether or not it's up to you if you want to stay, okay? Don't stay based off of a promise. Stay based off action and improved action as well. So I want to do a little bit of a podcast and talk about dating and explain with my dating history, which this is something I haven't opened up about too much other than always saying lovely things, trying to about my exes. I've tried my best to be secretive because on this podcast, I want to provide logical, helpful, actionable tips for you guys to enhance your life, right? And dating is a huge part of that, but talking about health and fitness and talking about that sort of a thing, I find for myself is much more the reason why you guys jump on. But I do know, and I do have majority female listeners who, again, when I sit down with you guys or we have a training session and you yap to me about your partner or you yap to me about dating or friends dating, and I'm like, sis, cut it out. You can't keep tolerating and putting up with that. So I want to piece this into an episode here. And like the rest of the yaps that have been coming recently, I hope that this yap is nice and enjoyable to listen to. Now, my last long-term partner. So I've had 3. I currently have a beautiful partner. We've been together for almost a year. Before him, I had 3 quite significant partners. One relationship was about 4 years, another relationship was about 5 years, and then another was about 3 years. And it was in my last relationship that I was of age. I was no longer a little teenage girl, but I was still learning a lot. But it was really a relationship where, despite not being with someone or that person for that long, I lost a lot of myself trying to fit myself into a mold that would finally feel enough for them, and vice versa, be able to even see that I was enough for them. And constantly trying to contort myself and trying to coach them into being the man I want them to be, whilst also trying to fit myself into this impossible mold of trying to please their expectations of me. Now, with this and splitting up with this partner, for my last 3 serious relationships, which this is something that I have an avoidant attachment style, but it often swings the pendulum of disorganized, which is anxious on one side and avoidant on the other. Okay, and secure in the middle for a brief period of time before going crazy. No. But with my previous ex, we were only together for a short time, never lived together, okay, only did a little bit of travel together, but leaving them and making the decision to leave them, being, again, I think a huge thing was we'd started dating when I felt like I'd really become an adult. Like, we started dating when I was about 21 or 22, and with that, we started dating and I really told myself, I'm not going to fall for them. I'm not going to fall for them. I don't like them. And then I fell for them so hard and planned my whole life with them in my head, thought it was going to happen, like every fiber of my being manifested it, that sort of thing. And then when it all came to a halt and I made the decision to stop being treated in a way that I no longer felt was respectful. And that blow, like, even though I did it, and I know a lot of women can feel quite similar with this too, even men as well, when you're with someone and you invest so much time, so much energy, so much love into that person, to realize that they are not, and they may never be the person that you want them to be, but you hanging around waiting, hoping and wishing for them to do so is just a waste of your own time. Let them be who they are. Realizing that it's the wrong person is a really big ego death. And so for me, this was a really big ego death and spiritual awakening. I'd realized, I was like, I can't keep putting up with this. I can't keep tolerating this. And I remember in our final few days actually writing in my journal about 2 or 3 weeks beforehand, like, the moment we're back off this trip, like the moment we're back home, like, I know I'm done. Like, I'm done being disrespected. I'm done being not communicated to properly. I'm done feeling like I've done something wrong, and I'm done sitting in my fight or flight state because I'm so scared of walking on eggshells, when so much of that is something that it wasn't a matter of them being more rude to me than they were. It's not like I was never rude to them, but it was more so that in all of the times that I had not stood up for myself when I should have, that I'd not been honest when I should have, that I'd not been vulnerable when I should have, I lost those parts of myself. And so it wasn't them disrespecting me so much each time. It was more a physical manifestation of the disrespect I had shown myself. And that was what my last relationship had come to be. And so when you are manifesting a relationship, okay, this is where we need to get really clear on what we want. Or we can get to a point where we end up manifesting exactly what we said we want, or exactly what we think we deserve, but not actually who we need, not actually who our dream partner is. So what's really funny is that for me, I had, when splitting up with my ex who I'd been with for quite a few years before that, we'd lived together, that sort of a thing. And that was from when I was about 17 till I was about 21, I think. So I remember when, after splitting up with them, getting really clear in my journal, really clear in my notes of the things that I didn't want in a partner. And so with that, I actually still am great friends with that ex in particular. So it's nothing like, I didn't write much about them that I was like, I never want that again. But I did want to get clear on, okay, the next person that I'm with, I really need to know, like, what are my red flags? What are my boundaries? Because I'm mature enough now to not get wrapped up in something, okay? And choose the right partner, because the last 2 partners I had thought that they would be forever. And of course, when you're with a partner, like, it's not like you really think that partner is going to be, oh, like, you're just for a few years and then the next one will come along. Of course you want to believe it's forever. So it also makes total sense. But I remember writing down everything that I thought I didn't want in a partner. And when you make a plan, God laughs, because it was so funny. I wasn't clear enough on the things that I did want. And I ended up manifesting, again, wouldn't change a thing, learned so much, beautiful times together. But I ended up manifesting 5 things off of that list that were my top 5, like, not going to work out. This is not going to happen. Like, I will not let this be. And I'll share what one of those was in particular and why. But, no, I won't. So I'll protect their integrity. But the top 5 things I had on that list where I was like, if a man does or has this or is this, like, it is not going to work. I know one I can share that's not going to sound or come off weirdly. One of them was their star sign. And so the people that really drive me up the wall, okay, my nearest and dearest, my mother, and she lives with me, so I've told her this. She knows she drives me up the wall, vice versa. My mum, my brother, and then also back then, so many, many moons ago, before meeting this partner, following along guys. So I just split up with the man that I was living with, and now I was like, the next partner I find, I've got to write down everything I don't want. And so the other person that I can think of off the top of my head was my sister. And they're all Libras or Librans, which is a star sign that, for me, if we're going by star signs, like the traditional 12, whatever, when we go by star signs, as a Taurus or as an earth sign, I'm not airy-fairy. Like, the rarity of me being airy-fairy, I am stubborn and I know what I want, when I want it, pretty much all the time. There are periods of time now, again, with my new partner, a little bit more girlfriend brain, but where I'm like, I don't know what I want, can you just decide? But so much of my life, I am so fucking stubborn, and I am so, once I say I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it. I never want to tell you half of a plan and then not follow through with that plan. And when I do, if I do not follow through with the plan, I feel so bad. There's so much guilt and shame, like, oh, my integrity, like, I said I was going to do this thing. And so one of the things on my top 5 that this person had was their star sign and their date of birth. And I was like, no, I'm like, I know they've got these 5 things, but that's okay. I'm just going to date them. Nothing serious. Like, I don't want a partner anyways. I'm focusing on my business. And of course, you're together for a long enough time that it's silly you not pursuing and going further with your relationship. And that was what happened, which was beautiful. Again, so many beautiful memories. But this was where, not understanding, when I wrote out what I didn't want, I was pretty much giving whoever's up there playing my simulation a playbook of the exact person to walk into my life next to help me learn and to help me grow. And to show me parts of myself that needed healing, to nurture me when I needed nurturing, and to also show me the areas and show me where I was not strong enough with my boundaries, and show me where I needed to change and I need to be better. So that was a quick learning to where I realized that when it comes to writing down what you want, stop writing down what you don't want or what you don't want to happen or what you don't want in a partner. We need to be sure that we can write down who we want and be specific of who that is, so we can then understand, well, what sort of person would they want to date? And this is something where, if you're in a relationship and you're listening right now, I know a lot of women who they've been with their partner for a long time and their partner isn't stepping up, isn't growing up, but also it doesn't come from a man being more immature or slower, that sort of a thing. But it more so comes from the fact that your relationship is a synergy of the two of your energies. And when one is not thriving, it's very easy to pull the other person down. And when one is absolutely excelling, it can be very easy to pull the other person up. That's beautiful. If one person is highly irritated, highly strung, and highly agitated, if they're anxious, if they're rude, that can spiral and that can send your partner into the same direction. If you have a partner and you fall under the anxious attachment, there's a high likelihood that your partner will fall under the avoidant attachment. So you're constantly on this cat and mouse chase. And this was something for me, I sat more in my avoidant dating. And then once I started to really commit to the idea and fall in love, I flipped to anxious. And I was like, oh my God, I'm so obsessed with them. And that's something that, that's so weird saying it now, but that's something that with that anxious attachment, I then would start to drive my own insecurities harder, hold on to things that partner would say, and refrain from maybe speaking to them as clearly because I didn't want to come off as difficult or come off as sort of, needing too much or that sort of a thing. And this is where, when it came to understanding what sort of relationship I was in, I was with that partner when I started learning about attachment styles. And I was with that partner when I started learning about childhood trauma. And when I started understanding that we tend to date replicas of our parents to try and fix the family dynamics that we had issues with growing up. Okay, the parent that you had the least amount of love from, or the carer that you feel like you experienced the least amount of love from, that is the one that typically, or the one that you are most attached to, whatever, that is the one that typically you're going to latch on to someone who has similar energy, has similar traits, similar behaviors, speaks to you a similar way. You'll latch onto that because you want to fix that relationship. And you might not be. So for me, it's my mum. Like, so weird. Who would have guessed? But for me, finding and realizing throughout a relationship that the person I was dating reminded me of the relationship that I had with my mum, and always feeling like I wasn't enough, always feeling like I had to do more. And whenever I was excited about something, there was always something that needed to bring it back down, bring me back down to earth, pop my bubble, that sort of a thing. And I only realized that in my relationship. So some of these men that you have been with, or women, like whoever's listening, some of these people that you may have been with for a lot of years, you may have been with them. And if you check their like location 100 times a day, like if you're texting them all the time, like, where are you? Or you see them walking, they're meeting you for coffee. This happened to me the other day with my partner. They're meeting, or not even, he wasn't actually meeting me. I just bumped into him in the morning on a morning walk. But I saw him, my current partner, Angel, fine. Another conversation, another episode, but beautiful. He was across the road talking to a beautiful woman, and she might even be listening. I know she follows me. If you are, hi. But I thought I'd seen this beautiful woman before. I didn't know her name, that sort of a thing. But I saw him across the road talking to her. And my first thought, my initial anxious thought that 7 years ago was really the thought that I married and ran with. My first thought was, he's organized a walk with another woman because he didn't think I would be walking this morning, or he thought I maybe wouldn't see him this morning. So he organized this walk with this other woman. Who is this other woman? So that was thought one. And then thought two instantly came into my mind, and just null and void thought one. And that was, he must have bumped into that like beautiful woman and they must know each other. So that's fine. Like, they're just walking down to the beach. I literally like instantly did not question who it was. I didn't even say like after him, who was that? That's after she left, sorry, who was that? Or that sort of a thing. But when we approached, like the first thing I did was say hi to her, introduce myself. And then she walked off and carried on her walk. And like, there was no anxious feeling present, overruling when I was looking at my partner with this beautiful woman next to him walking at like 6 a.m. in the morning. Like, what is going on? I was like, he must have just bumped into her on the way down. That is secure attachment, people, and that's wild. But it also falls into a bit of a bracket of detachment. So this is one thing where I'm hoping that I'm really going on a tangent. I don't even know where I am now. I have so many notes, but I want to give you some dating advice that if someone told me in my early 20s, I still would have never believed it. And that is so that you need to date people to learn what you do and don't want, and to learn what you will and won't tolerate, and to get clearer on the best version of a partner for you. Okay, listen to that again. I know you've been with your partner for X amount of years since you were 17, but he's been pissing you off for the last 5, and you're just saying like, he'll grow out of it, he'll change. I actually used to say that to my friends, to my girlfriends who are about 5 to 10 years older than me, who we hang out, and they'd be like, how are you and your man? And I would say, yap. And then I would say, but he's a kid, he's going to grow out of it. Like, I know he's going to grow out of it. I know he'll get out of it soon. Like, it's not forever. I know he's just a little bit young and like, whatever. I literally used to make that excuse for my friends when they would ask me about how my partner and I were. Okay, so we need to understand that sometimes the people that you are dating, okay, you need to date them to learn what you do and don't want in the partner that is the best partner for you. I think it's really important to remind yourself that pretty much 50% almost of marriages end in divorce. So it's like, you've got a 50-50 chance, even if they are the love of your life, of splitting up, okay? So imagine you stay together for the kids. Imagine you stay together for the next 10 years. And then it hits 40, okay? You've had a few kids. He still loves you the exact same amount, which to you has not been enough for the better part of the last 15 years. And so you're not giving out to him anymore. You're not sort of giving him the energy that he needs to feel loved and to feel like he wants to take charge and lead and look after you and provide and protect and all that sort of a thing. Of course, there's going to be rifts in the relationship. You shouldn't be, if you live with your partner and you're constantly berating them about doing the dishes, berating them about cleaning up, saying they never do enough, that sort of a thing, how can you expect for them to not look at you like you're their mother and then be like, oh, but I love you, you're the love of my life? It's like, unless they've got mummy issues, you need to stop treating your man like he's your son, okay? Now, so when it comes to understanding the people that you're with, this is where I really want you to take a good hard look. If you're in a relationship, I'm not saying you have to split up, but what I am saying is you need to love them exactly as they are. Not love them because they're going to eventually be better. Not love them because they told you they were improving. Okay, not love them because they said, I can't see my future clearly, but like I know that you're in it. Do not stay with someone based off of their promises that have never held much weight in your relationship in general. Okay, so with this, I'm going to tell you what completely transformed my dating life and what helped me attract, manifest this man now who, like, holy hell, like I know I thought, and there's something I laugh about with my mum. She laughs at me, I laugh with me. When you meet someone who you're like, holy shit, I actually think I could spend the rest of my life with them. This is the first relationship that I've been in where I've been like, yeah, I could spend the rest of my life with them, but like there's a 50-50 chance it might not work out. We really get along now. I don't know if in 10 years' time we'll get along. I really hope we do, and I really hope we continue to grow together. Every other relationship, I've been like so hell-bent on this is my person, like they're the best thing for me, like rah, 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 they're going to be my biggest teacher. I literally used to refer to my ex, refer to my ex to my friends. Imagine if he listens to this, fam. And I would say, he is my biggest lesson, but if I persevere, he will be my biggest reward. Girl, bin. Enough. The shit that I would never tolerate these days has been such a blessing. And that was when I split up with my ex, the beginning of last year. I made a promise to myself I wasn't going to date. I was going on pretty much a full sabbatical for a few months. And if I did go on dates, there was strictly no kissing, no hand holding, no intimacy. It was just, I'm here to see who you are as a person. Because the moment that any sort of intimacy gets in the way, it starts to distort. Like, you're connecting with that man, even if you connect with different people all the time. You're connecting and exchanging energies, okay, when you're being intimate with someone. So I made a promise to myself not to be intimate with anyone and to double down on me. And then when I was ready, the right man would appear. And so I started to become detached. And when I would go on dates with people, it became this quote, A, B, C, D, always be collecting data. I was literally just seeing who was there. So practicing being detached and totally unbothered helped me to then, when I was on dates, see people for who they were and decide really quickly, you know what, this person is not for me, like so not for me. And so when I did start going on dates about 3 months after splitting up with my ex, again, nothing intimate, nothing like that. But when I did start going on dates with people, I would look at them and they would last max 3 dates, okay? And the first one was like, okay, that was a little bit weird. It was a first date, whatever. And the first one, just feeling someone out. And then I would laugh about it with my girlfriends. And I think that became such a beautiful thing. It's because I wasn't tied into, is this person my person? Is this really my forever person? And instead I was just tied into, okay, well, let's see what happens next. Like, let's just have fun. It's fine. It was so much easier to then just go on and see someone and spend a few hours with them, get to know them, and then leave, to reject kisses, to reject handholds. And it started to light a fire in me that I just thought was so crazy, where I wrote down, and again, it was very hard to be clear on, is this my person, is it not? I don't want to pretend that it wasn't, because for me, it's like one first date, I've already pictured the wedding. I'm just telling myself that, like, Zoe, shut up, you don't know this person yet. But I wrote down in my journal, very specific. We're not dating a Libra ever again. Okay, I wrote down, I want to date a Taurus. I've never dated someone of my own star sign. And it may sound fickle, it may sound like it's something quite small, and insignificant and not very accurate a lot of the time as well. But that was what I wrote down. I was like, they need to be a Taurus. I was like, they cannot be a personal trainer. I was like, I am so fucking done with being with someone who's in the same industry as me. Not because like we can't thrive together, but like if your partner is competitive with you or they are seeing more potentially new than what you're seeing at that current time. So you're feeling like you're either not enough for them or feeling like you're too much for them, where you have to start hiding when you get new clients from them. Like, sis, bin. So I wrote down, I was like, and I wrote a few more things, but again, I won't disclose them all. I wrote down, they need to be a Taurus. My man is going to be a Taurus. He's going to be taller than me, obviously. And he's not going to be a personal trainer. Guys, so the first date I went on in my sabbatical was with a Taurus whose birthday was the day before mine. And he was taller than me. Fantastic. Loved it. And he wasn't a personal trainer. He was really into his fitness, but he wasn't a personal trainer. Because you know what he was? Guys, he was a stripper. And so I remember meeting him and at my girlfriend's hens, and I saw his nails, and his nails had little butterflies on them, and my nails had little butterflies on them too. And we both looked at each other's nails because I organised the strippers. So like, I didn't know it would be him. Like I couldn't even remember who I had booked. But I handed him the cash, and then both of us at the exact same time said, I like your nails. And then we both took a step back and went, whoa. And in that moment, I was like, what's your birthday? It was like, I'm not telling you what's your birthday. I was like, I'm not telling you what's your birthday. Typical stubbornness from a Taurus. So anyways, the man's birthday was the day before mine. And which is wild. He was ticked off the pretty much 5 things I wrote down specifically. And we went on 3 dates, and then I ghosted his last message. Sorry if you're listening. But I saw him at the gym and I acted like I didn't know him. Anyways, but so that obviously fizzled out really quickly. I was like, who is this man? But it was such a good laugh. And every time I met up with the girls and they were like, so what's the update? I was like, guys, you wouldn't believe it. And so it started to become, instead of dating and feeling that pressure of the next person I date better be the one, or the next person I date, I didn't like this about them, but I hope they get their act together, rah, rah. It became really fun where I would come home. So my mum lives with me, guys. You guys know that if you've listened to previous episodes. She lives with me. And so I'd come home and I'd be like, oh my God, get the tea because we got to debrief. Like, you won't believe it. So random. This happened, whatever. So then I wrote down, I was like, okay, I got to be more specific. And this man, so stripper, he had a kid, right? And I just started to think, I was just ticking over in my brain. I'm like, you know what, when a man becomes a father, not all fathers as well, I'm aware, but when a man becomes a father, there's a particular element of them that is more nurturing and more caring. And I saw that in that gentleman who was very, very much not for me, and very, very much lots of other stuff going on. So then I wrote down, okay, Taurus. He needs to be a Taurus. He needs to be close around my birthday. He needs to be taller than me. He needs to not be a stripper or a personal trainer. So I wrote, he needs to be in finance. Okay. And then I wrote, he needs to be a dad. And what do you know? I write that down and then I don't think much. I continue living my life, and I get a message and a follow request on Instagram from a friend who I've known literally for 10 years now. And this man, okay, backstory, the ex I ended up living with was meant to go on a date with this gentleman one night. So I was obviously very young. I was like 17, 16 at the time, like late 16, early 17, way too young. And so I turned my phone off that night and I went on a date with the man that ended up being my partner for a few years. And then the next morning I told this guy, I was like, sorry, the phone died, like girlfriend broke up with her boyfriend. Anyway, so this man follows me, and girls, he takes it. He's tall. He's not a PT, but he's into his fitness, which we obviously need. He's not a stripper. Fantastic. His birthday is the exact same day as mine. Okay. And he's in finance. So when I specified a man in finance, I didn't know. I just thought like they're smart. They got their head switched on. And so this man is like a crypto teacher, like a finance guy. And guys, he has a daughter. So I was like, I really just fucking write this man into existence again. So we went on, again, special 3-day rule before I realized I never want to see someone again. And so it got me really clear going in and collecting data again. I was like, holy shit, I've known this person for so long. There's probably a good likelihood this could work out. And I was like, what if they are the person? They said, as a lot of guys do, I'm looking for my wife. Like, I want to settle down. I want to have more kids. Rah, rah, rah. But crazy, right? So exactly what I wrote down in my journal. And it was so funny because I just wrote it down and then I carried on loving myself. Okay. I carried on my sabbatical being like, I'm committed to not going out with any random. I'm not messaging a guy to date. I'm like, a guy can come to me. I will never, like with my ex, I told him I could cut his hair. And so I should come over to cut his hair. And that was all we did. Don't worry guys, that day. But I was like, I will never ask a man to go on a date again, ever, ever, ever. But yeah, so anyways, then the man that I had written up in my journal appeared in front of me and we had the history of friendship, that sort of a thing. 3 dates, didn't work, whatever, weird, blocked on everything, just wasn't sort of a thing. They might find this and listen to this again, so soz. But it got me thinking and being really clear. I was like, hold on. For the first time I feel in my life for dating, I feel like I'm in the driver's seat. I feel like I am actually, instead of wanting to control a situation or wishing I could, I was like, I'm fucking driving. I was like, I am in control. I was like, if a man wants me to be available, he's got to book in. I'm not just available at a whim. What do I look like, McDonald's? No, I'm a restaurant that you need to book in advance. And so my value and my perceived value of myself started increasing. And my attachment to the person that was in front of me for being my particular partner, I just started looking at it this way. And I was like, you know what? If this doesn't work out, then I hope we can stay friends. And this has been a lovely experience. That was me every time I started going on dates. And I was like, that's awesome. And so then I wrote down, I was like, enough. So I wrote down, I was like, listen, they don't have to be my birthday exactly, because the last 2 people that have been my birthday have been insane. And I was like, they just need to be an earth sign. Again, I didn't know, forgive me with the horoscope stuff, but my partner is a Capricorn now and he's an earth sign. It really works. But I was like, okay, they need to be an earth sign. Yes, we like that. They need to be in finance. They don't need to have kids, but if they don't have kids, they've got to be in their late 30s. Okay. And they've got to worship the ground I walk on. New edition. So I then start my travels and that sort of a thing. And of course, same thing happens. And I meet such a beautiful, lovely man. I hope we're still friends. I think it's a bit awkward now, but such a beautiful, lovely man who ticks all of those boxes, guys. And what the hell? His birthday is 3 days before, 2 days before, maybe a bit more, before my dad's, which is a Virgo, which is an earth sign. And this man was in finance, sort of, that sort of thing. But I was like, holy shit, I just wrote it down again. And it started to, and this man came into my life and was exactly what I had written down, but there were caveats that I hadn't written down because I hadn't been clear enough about exactly what I wanted. But it helped me with this dating to get clear on what I want, but to also realize that being in the driver's seat, I could start to be the princess. I could start to be the brat. Because what a brat does, okay, you thinking you're being a brat girlfriend, you thinking you're being a brat is actually just you wanting the bare minimum level of respect, okay? You want plans to not be made on a whim 30 minutes before, hey, I'm going to be in your area in 30 minutes. Can I pick you up? That's no. What do I look like? Like a fast food chain? I'm not Aljana. No, it's not a fishbowl that'll be ready in 10 minutes. And even if I was, I would tell them that I was busy and that I had stuff on. And then I made sure that with my life, so I could enjoy my life instead of just sitting sad at home, wondering when my partner's going to magically appear in front of me again. I made my life busy and I went to dancing 3 nights a week, most weeks, which my dancing girls might listen to this and I hope you do. Hi, sorry I haven't been back in a while. But I started to fill my life with other stuff. I was doing singing lessons each week. I was, again, dancing 2 to 3 nights a week. And outside of that, I was working. And then I was hanging out with my girlfriends at least once or twice a week. And so I started to piece together and create a life that was so full that then when it came time to giving a man my time, I was like, no. You need to invest for this time to come back. For me to be free, it doesn't just happen on a whim unless I see you as a friend. Okay, if you're a friend and I see you as a friend and you're like, hey, can you meet up for a walk? I'm like, hells yeah, bro. But if I see you as more than a friend, or I see you as the potential for more than a friend, you're going to need to work doubly as hard for my time. And it started to create this self-worth where I then started to look at my old relationships and the sadness and grief that I felt, where I was like, I really thought this was going to work out. Like, I saw my future this time, this year. I thought I'd maybe be pregnant, that sort of a thing. All these things, and it would have been with the wrong person. And I started to understand why. And I started to understand why we were together so long, why every single partner, you have not done anything wrong by being with a man who you have outgrown. And you have not done anything wrong by realizing that and doing your best to communicate to him, not to tell him, don't do what I do and say you need to be more in your masculine. Okay, don't do what I do and tell him that like he was massively in his feminine energy and I was sick of being in my masculine energy. Okay, I did not know how to construct a conversation, but with that, it helped me to appreciate and learn that I needed that, and I needed to put myself so low on my priorities list to realize that I would never do that again. And it was doing that, and it was the people pleasing and the placating and trying to make sure everything was fine, all that sort of thing. And then I was like, you know what? No more. It's not happening again. And so it was so, so beautiful to then get to a point where I had realized that in terms of finding my partner and understanding who I wanted them to be, it was not a matter of meeting a man, and this helped as well. It was not a matter of meeting a man and being like, okay, I guess that's good enough. It was not a point of being with a man and saying, I guess this is the best I'm going to get. It's not, girlfriend. I can tell you that. But it's something that when we're in it and when we've invested so much time, we never want to admit that we were wrong. It's so, so hard for our ego to admit that we were that wrong about a situation. And that's where journaling has been such a game changer, lifesaver for my brain and piecing together personal issues. Because it's not like if you're talking with your therapist, you might discuss dating a little bit, but typically you're discussing the issues that you have with your deep-rooted childhood trauma and your attachment styles and all that sort of a thing. You're not having the giggly conversations where you're thinking and assessing like, this could be really fun if it works out. I really like this person, that sort of a thing. Instead, we save that chat for either with our girlfriends and we hyperfixate, like, I hope he liked me. Did my dress look weird? Did that look weird? Like, and all this fixation on going to a date and thinking, I hope he likes me. Or heaven forbid you live with your man and you're still like, I hope he likes me. Okay, and girl, I know the thought comes up, but there's a difference between one thought, marrying it, and one thought, and then that second thought saying, no, he definitely loves me. It's fine. And I'm happy. I feel respected. I feel appreciated here. Okay, and then there's that feeling of I feel appreciated here versus, well, like when someone asks you if you are appreciated by your partner and you go, well, they've got a lot on and they've got some issues, like they've got some issues with money, so they don't often like doing gifts or that sort of a thing. And like, they come home from work and they're so tired, so they're not really in the mood to go out on dates. Bin, put the man in the bin. Anyways, I'm not going to tell you to break up with your partner. I'm just saying you deserve better. But with that, this then helps you to then, when you get clear on the sort of partner you want and you start to see dating or you start to see your experiences with that person as, I'm going to test the limits and test my waters, and I'm going to say exactly what I feel. Okay, I'm going to be what me 12 months ago would have said, you're so difficult. Why are you not easygoing? Okay, I'm going to be as difficult as possible. I'm going to be Little Miss Difficult. Because Little Miss Difficult is actually Little Miss just setting correct boundaries and Little Miss speaking up for what she actually wants instead of lying and walking around on eggshells pretending that she's happy with the situation she's in. Little Miss Difficult is actually Little Miss, I'm standing up for myself because I know that I love myself and I deserve better. Little Miss, I'm looking out for me, okay? I'm looking out for us, but if you're not meeting me there, that's okay. Sorry, keep needing to clear my throat. This is where when you meet a partner, there's going to be stuff like in the beginning, it's very easy to only see the good things. This is why when you sleep with someone, it can become extremely difficult to then disengage your energy from them and see the bad things and not tell yourself, A, it's fine, there's nothing serious, so it's never going to amount to anything serious anyways. Or B, it's fine, that's a little habit they have, but they're not going to have that habit forever. It's so immature, like they'll grow out of it, that sort of a thing. The person that you're with, love them for who they are or leave them for someone who will. Okay, if you don't love your partner's way that they just sit on the couch and do nothing, and you don't love the way that they make you do everything, but they're never respectful for everything that you do, you don't love the way that they make you split all the bills despite them taking up more space in the bed than you, despite them stinking and leaving their washing on the floor, okay? 50-50 is a whole nother conversation. But if you do not feel appreciated where you are, that is where Little Miss Difficult is actually Little Miss, I'm just speaking up for what I actually know I want now. Because it may have already been 5 years. It may have already been 10. But going another 10 years, constantly trying to feel like you have to explain your partner's actions and constantly feeling like you have to psychoanalyze the situation instead of just being happy, feeling appreciated, feeling like your partner is so grateful for you, okay? That is where you have that at a potential. You have that potential at your hands. And this is where, funnily enough, the one person who scooted through the friend zone, through multiple dates, more than 3, and I'll tell you how, is now my partner. And we have such fantastic communication, particularly because we both suck at lying, but we have really fantastic communication, and he loves me. It was one thing I wrote down in my journal last year. So I want the man that I'm with, the masculine energy man. I want him to want to provide. I want him to want to protect. I don't want him to just want it as well. I want him to do it and to take action with that. I want the man that I'm with to be so in his masculine energy, such a leader, and I want him to worship me at my feet. I didn't expect to feel like that I was like, just when the first few came true from what I wrote, I was like, well, fuck, I may as well write exactly what I want. It helped me get so clear. But really, really grateful and so lucky. My partner was also just a friend. And this is my partner, we've been together for almost a year now. Because I just saw him as a friend, he got more than 3 dates airtime, girls. And so it was so funny because I remember as I was sort of going on dates with other people, after my hiatus, my sabbatical, and I remember going on dates with other people, and then I started angling questions to them where I'd be on a first date, and one of the first things I'd ask is, do you like cars? And the date would be like, oh no, like I just need something to get from point A to point B, or no, not really. And I'd be like, oh, and I'd be like, okay, well, that's okay. Like, there'll be a man who ticks all the boxes I've written down and they like cars. That'll be great. And then I remember being on dates and starting to think and having men take me out for like lunch or take me out for dinner and starting to be like, damn, I'm comparing them to my friend. Because I really hope I meet someone just like my friend. I hope I can find a woman for my friend as well, because that would be awesome. I think I even maybe like told one of my girlfriends like he would be a really good match for them because I wanted him to be so happy because he was my friend. And I was comparing all of my dates to him. I'm like, well, I hope that they open the door for me every time like he does. I hope that they don't let me pay and they get offended if I try to pay, or if I do pay, like they give me the cash after they go, just take it. Like that sort of a thing, that level of providing and the level of care and attention to detail. And again, just love, that genuine like love that pours out of this man's heart. And I was like, I really, really, really hope I meet someone like him. And then I remember looking at him one day, we were going out for breakfast. And again, we'd been on 100 dates before, but I'd never seen them like that. And so that was how there was more airtime, obviously, then for him than the 3-date rule bin. But then I remember looking at him over breakfast one day and just being like, I think I like him. And it was so weird, but it was really beautiful. And since then, you often can get in the honeymoon phase. But once I realized, and so I used to cook, I do cook, you guys know I cook a lot. But so I used to cook him a lot of little sweet treats. And so when he'd come over or like to pick me up and we'd go on a bike ride or we'd work on my car, that sort of a thing, I'd bake him like a little cookie or I'd make him a Ninja Creamy, that sort of a thing. We used to laugh about it all the time. Like, because I just used to love giving food in general, but love giving food to people who appreciate it. And he loves food. So I remember when I realized I like him, and guys, I stopped cooking. I was like, he's not getting anything now. If you're my friend, I've got so much time in the world for you. The moment I realized I liked him, he was like, hey, you free? I'm like, no, I'm not free. And so you had to book, and it was like a week in advance. And that all happened once I realized, because I was like, hold on, if this man can handle me at what I deem as my most bratty, I'm about to go into prep anyway, so I don't want a relationship. This is obviously before my prep. And I was like, I don't want a relationship. So I'm going to be as difficult as possible, not in a manipulative fashion where I'm doing things dishonestly to what I actually want, but I'm going to be completely honest. If we have plans at 5:30 and you message me at 5:15 asking if I'm ready, but you didn't confirm with me earlier or talk to me all day, no, I'm not ready. What are you doing? Well, I'm going to stay at home. I'm cooking dinner now. Are you sure you don't want to come out for a little bit? No, I don't. Okay, if you want to organize something, let's organize it for like next weekend. Let's plan for it. Show me that you are investing your time and energy for it and organizing something. And so I, what you may call Little Miss Difficult, I was just really firmly setting boundaries. And it became, you know what, if it doesn't work out for me, I'm not giving energy to it. And that started to remind me and help me watch when I would see other people's relationships again, where I started to think, hey, I know that me being difficult before prep, or me being difficult in prep, especially when I lost my period, okay, me being underslept, me being tired, me being cranky, they're all things. Some of you girls go through it every single month, okay? If you do, send me a message, let's sort it out. But if you are moody, hormonal, bitchy, all that sort of a thing, tired, your partner for life, your future husband, is going to see that, and he's not going to be fazed by it. So my journal entries started changing, guys, and I started writing, my future husband would love me in this way. My future husband would not be fazed when I am a little bit more emotional, when I'm a little bit more erratic. My future husband will not be scared or shy away or make me feel bad for crying. All these things I started writing down. My future husband will do this, and I was like, then I would be in a situation where I would act in a way where I'd be like, you know what? No, I'm not happy. Like, we've just sat down in a restaurant, they've just given us water, and I've looked at the menu and I don't like anything on the menu. Then I don't like anything on the menu. So I don't want to eat. I'm not going to eat here. So, and then, should we leave? I'm like, yeah, let's leave. Let's go see another restaurant. I never dreamed I would be someone who would be so difficult, for lack of a better words. And this man just kept staying. And I was like, holy shit. I'm like, I'm being an absolute princess. Like, if I'm cold, if I'm unhappy, like if I need to find a bathroom ASAP, like I need a wee or I need water or I'm really agitated. And so anything I needed, I got. And it started to, when I look at my affirmations that I've read to you guys before, one of them says, God's plan for me is even better than I imagine. Another one says, divine love and abundance is my birthright. And I'll be crazy for telling you guys that feeling such a state of abundance from a man who, he's not earning something crazy where he can afford to just whip out, big bouquets of flowers every week or whatever else. The mans will make it work in whatever way necessary, even if it is, again, financially, and getting a giant bouquet of flowers. I'm like, hold on. I'm like, were you saying that you were like budgeting and concerned about money 2 weeks ago? Why is this like the man who is truly loving you, the man who is, again, sees you as just their angel and their demon at the same time, okay? I remember I raised my voice at him, okay? First time I raised my voice at him, coming back from comp, okay? So coming back from prep, we just had the show, we're at the airport, and I'm scanning the ticket thing, and a little bit's not working, and he said when I was trying to scan my ticket at the ticket scanners, it was all automatic. He goes, it's way cheaper to buy your luggage before you get on the plane. And I'd be like, well, duh. Like, of course I bought my luggage. He'd be like, no, I know, but I'm just telling you, like, make sure you bought it before you get on the plane. I'm like, how the fuck do you think I booked this ticket? And I got so wound up. It was hilarious. And I was just so dumbfounded. I was like, do you think I'm that fucking stupid that I wouldn't book? I booked check baggage on the way here. Of course I booked fucking check baggage on the way back. And I was so, again, Prepzilla. If you've been in prep or you've had a girlfriend in prep, once the hormones are gone, she's tired, she's angry, everything in between. She's a little Prepzilla, like a bridezilla. And I was so angry. Of course. And then I dropped my bag off in the little thing because obviously I paid and bought the checked baggage, okay, with my ticket. And I was like fuming. And he goes, because I raised my voice to him, and I was like, are you fucking serious? And he goes, oh my God, you're like my little spicy devil. And I was like, did I just like get so emotional? And the man is just not fazed by it. Like, did he just call me his little devil? I'm like, and I'd been so used to having to fight to get my word out, having to fight for what I thought I deserved, and having to fight, period, to try and get my point across. And to be shown that like my emotions can be as crazy as they want to be. I can be really sad, I can be really happy, I can be really energized, I can be really tired, and the man creates and holds space for it like he's been doing it his entire life. And understanding now that doubting myself and thinking that I wasn't as valuable as I thought I was for a long time, and then being single for a long enough period for introspection that helped to teach me what I did and didn't want. It helped me to identify when a partner is consistently showing up like you are for them, you feel really good in the relationship, okay? What often happens is, and it's not always about communication where it's sort of you're not speaking enough to each other, but it's you both have to be making active effort in the relationship. And sometimes that's going to require sacrifice, but usually for the people I'm speaking to, the women that I'm speaking to are doing a lot of the sacrificing, and then by the time their partner asks them to do something else, critiques them on something, there's so much resentment built up that they just blow up. Or their partner doesn't do anything, to the point where, again, there's so much resentment built up. And the more resentment that you are building up in your relationship, it's very hard to dissipate. You can dissipate it, but it's it's a lot of work from both parties. And if you're feeling resentment towards your partner is also feeling resentment towards you. So it's worth sitting down and writing in your journal, okay? Talk to them, yes, but talk to yourself first and get really clear on, am I feeling truly fulfilled and happy here? Is this person challenging me? But do I genuinely see in 10 years' time, if I become completely broke, that they would be able to steer the ship? And vice versa, that would I, like most people who are going to be listening to this podcast, or most people who are bettering themselves with like help to look after other people. But ask yourself genuinely, like I thought when I was getting my, one last story time before we wrap up, when I was getting my boobs done, I'd actually spoken to my mum 2 weeks before. And I was like, I just don't know if he's going to be around in 2 or 3 weeks time to look after me. So I just want to double check, like, can you be there in case I need you? To be unsure of how long your partner's going to be around, if they're going to be around, that's not good. Like, I wouldn't say it's not normal. I'd say maybe it can be quite normal. But like if you're in an anxious and avoidant loop with your partner and it's difficult for them to speak about things because they're avoidant, so they just shut off and don't want to talk about it, and it's difficult for you to speak about things because you got to speak about it right now and you got to keep talking and blah, 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 blah. It's like, go and seek external help. Like counseling can be extremely helpful, but know that the partner, the person that you're with, like love them for who they are, or leave them for someone who will be able to. Because ultimately you staying with your partner who you're angry at every 2 weeks for the same thing you've been angry at for the past 3 years, okay? They deserve to be with someone who doesn't care, okay? You deserve to be with someone who cares about the fact that they've been upsetting you with the same shit every fortnight for the last few years, okay? So I hope this dating yap, I barely looked at my notes because I was just so, the yap, the storytelling, it's such a dramatic, fun thing to talk about. But I hope that it sheds light on the fact that you can have been with a partner for so long. It's not a bad thing. And you can grow together and you can go through hard times where you're like, I'm not sure we're going to make it out of this. That's okay. I'm not saying you have to leave your partner. I know I said bin them quite a few times, but just hear me out. You deserve to be so happy. And that starts with understanding and treating yourself like your dream soulmate would. Now when I'm anxious, I think to myself and I speak to myself and I say, hey girlfriend, like, do you need a little nap? Do you need a little walk? Do you want a hot chuckie in bed and set your timer for 30 minutes and just zone out from the world before you come back? Like, what do you need? Because I really hope that when I live with my partner and I'm stressed and I'm really frustrated, that they go, hold on, what can I do right now that's going to make you feel a little bit more relaxed? What's one thing I can do that's going to help you just chill? What can I do for you? Because my love language is acts of service. And so I like gifts, I like words of affirmation, but acts of service. And so the way that I would want, if my partner was down or upset, and the way I'd be like, what can I do for you? And then I learned that that's sort of mothering. So you really, like, you don't often need to ask your partner, what can I do for you? You instead need to instill belief in them because they already know what they're going to do. But it really taught me, I was like, if the way I feel love is acts of service, I need to show that to myself first. And so that's exactly what I did. And I did the hell out of it. And it raised my bar so incredibly high alongside the man's that was my friend for the better part of 10 months. Raising my standard for what I would and wouldn't accept from someone until I got to the point where I was like, well, maybe I've liked them the whole time. So I hope you guys enjoyed that yap today. I hope it has inspired you to do some deep journaling work and really get to know yourself, date yourself, take yourself on the most beautiful endeavors. Go take yourself for a massage, go take yourself out for a walk, go put a meditation on, have an everything shower, wash your hair, exfoliate, moisturize with some beautiful, guys, I made some tallow with some sea buckthorn in it, so it's turned the whole thing orange. Like, romance your life and fill your life with so much damn pleasure that your elevation of your energy is so high that people meet you or they don't, but your elevation and your vibe stays bright. If your partner and their vibe is not vibing with you, journal. I hope you guys enjoyed that episode, and I will catch you on the next one. Mwah.